Yeah.
Any other? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Tree removal at the golf course. Rick?
Out at the golf course, if you recall, way back when they converted that from 9-hole to an 18-hole, they purchased some property on the south side of Thomas Drive. That was originally a tree plantation, a tree farm over there, and since then the trees have continued to grow. I met with the DNR out there just to get his perspective on what we should do to try to manage that, because obviously we need to do something out there. Currently the pine trees are about 6 feet apart, you know, in all directions. Based on the discussions with him, he had indicated, you know, the thinning probably should have taken place probably about 10 years ago or so. But we're at the point where we need to start really looking at doing some thinning. Otherwise, you know, the farther up they go, the smaller, the spindlier that they get. You have the potential for wind damage as well as tree dying because they get choked out, so to speak. The canopy isn't enough to sustain the entire tree. So I did speak with 3 local loggers to get their perspective on what it would cost to remove those trees, if there's any value in the wood or not. We got 3 prices. The first one would be a no cost to the city. But with that particular, would quote, the branches and the tops, basically anything less than 4 inches in diameter, they would leave for the city to clean up. The next one gave us two options. One would be the same situation where we clean up the tops and the limbs. The other one would be if they cleaned up the limbs. If we were to clean up the limbs on that one, it's $1,500. If they were to clean up the limbs and get it to a somewhat decent site, it would be $4,500. The third one that I got is if they, similar situation where they clean up all the limbs, take the lumber out of there. They quoted me at $20 per tree cost to remove those. I estimate between 300 and 400 trees. I could be on the low side with that, but if you go out there and look, there's quite a few trees that are marked for it. So tonight we are recommending to go with kind of the middle of the road because we believe that's the best situation for the city in terms of cost for what we're getting for $4,500 to Nelson Logging to remove the trees as well as the branches and the tops to minimize the impact to the golf course out there. And that would be charged to the golf course improvement fund.
What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion to approve that, the recommendation given by Greg.
That's a second.
I'll second it.
And a motion by Councilman Bushek, second by Councilman Knopfler. For the request, discussion?
Have we ballparked what it would take, for Madsen at no cost, and then knowing what's left over? Have we ballparked what we'd have to invest in cleaning up the limbs and the tops?
It would take us quite a bit of time. I would say probably about 2 weeks time, and probably 3 or 4 of our guys, just because there's so much area out there that needs to be cleaned up or would need to be cleaned up. It's the entire length between hole 4, between 4 and 5.
Well, throw a number at it so I can compare. I mean,
I'd say probably that $4,500. I would say is probably where you're looking at.
And at the same time, the guys would be working at other things that need to be done.
Sure. It would be as time allows, yeah.
Since Nelson wants $3,000 more to clean it up, can we have Madsen take the trees for nothing and Nelson do the cleanup for $3,000?
I thought about the same thing. Oh,
I don't think it would work that way.
Do they get the wood
They get the wood.
and we're paying them to take it?
Correct.
Sounds like a racketeer. So now, you said that they're remove the branches to a site, so they're gonna be branches, limbs, trees, everything's gonna be off city property, right? They ain't gonna stack them at the corner of the golf course and
Correct. They
let them
would-
decay and hopefully become mulch one day.
They would chip them up and take them out. There would still be some, I mean, it's not gonna be golf course quality when any one of them are done. But it's gonna be where the larger branches and stuff are removed.
Manson logging, is he just unwilling to do the complete job, or did he, was it an open-ended question and well, I'll take this, but I don't want that?
He felt that by leaving the branches there and running them over, it would break them up enough to mulch it. I don't think that's what we're necessarily looking for out at the golf course.
And we know stump logs right now aren't bringing the best price. It's not,
Right.
he's not gonna get rich off this.
Sentence to serve.
Have we asked about that?
I think they'd be there a long time.
We've got a lot of time.
I'm on a community bonfire.
We have not. 300 to 400 trees there, it's gonna take them some time.
They did a pretty good job in Pine Grove Park. So I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ordinance number 83, 6 series, amended city chapter code 10, shade tree disease control, introduced on 11/16. Greg?
This is the second introduction of ordinance number 83. In a nutshell, this updates our ordinance to reflect the diseases that we're seeing with the current shade trees, specifically Dutch elm disease, oak wilt, emerald ash borer. It gives the city a little bit of enforcement power to be able to go over onto private property, identify which trees that have the disease, mark them and make sure that they get taken down. In the event that the property owner does not want to take them down, we can go in, take them, or have them taken down and then assess the property back, the cost to do that removal. So tonight we'll be looking at approval of ordinance number 83 so that we can control the diseases for the shade trees.
What's the wish of the council? Do I have a motion?
I'll put motion
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Mayor Zilka, for approval of ordinance number 83. Discussion? Hearing none, ordinance, call a roll.
Hurkak,
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Zilka.
Yes.
Hansler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Gushik.
on. Yes.
Knopfler.
Yes.
William.
Yes.
Carries.
Letter of retirement, Greg McGillis, water, wastewater superintendent. Accept. Public Work, Greg?
With regret, tonight I present to you the letter of retirement for Greg McGillis. Greg is our water wastewater superintendent. He's been with the city, I don't know how many years, Lori. It's been
35.
35 years. Sad to see him go. Happy for his retirement though. So tonight we'd be looking at accepting his letter of retirement.
What's the wish of the council?
Make a motion to accept Greg's letter.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Councilman Hanson, for the acceptance of letter of retirement from Greg McGillis. Discussion?
Worked with him and have known him a long time. He's been a great asset to this community. It is sad to see him go, but it's gonna be exciting seeing somebody else come in too, so just wish him the best.
Mr. President, I'd also comment that I met Greg when he first moved to town. I think he cut his teeth on the basketball court south of Lincoln School, and we ended up playing basketball together. But it's another great example of not only a great employee, but a really good person. And I regret to see him leave, but wish him luck. He's a good guy.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Job description and advertisement for position, water wastewater superintendent. Greg?
With Greg's retirement coming up here at the end of December, we'd be looking at replacing Greg with a new hire. So tonight in front of you, I have an updated job description. Essentially what I did, we had two job descriptions, one for a wastewater superintendent, one for a water superintendent. Combined those two together to get our water wastewater superintendent. It's currently similar to what we currently have. So tonight we're looking for approval to approve the updated job description and then authorize staff to post the position in the union and then advertise it within the local paper until it is filled.
What's the wish of the council?
So moved.
Second. Got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilman Liljegren. Approve job description and advertise. Any discussion? Quick question, what do you think the odds are of getting somebody replaced on both of them?
I think it's pretty good.
Is it? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2015-92, 2016 levy. John?
Yep, this is following up what we were discussing in the budget hearing. The number in the X's would be 1776000 if that is what the if maintaining the staff recommendations for the levy. So then the final levy total, the bottom is 3,435,500. So $3,435,500. 435,500. Oh, no, sorry. I was wrong. Yeah. Maurice calculated this. Just want to make sure these are right.
Plus or minus $500,000.
So we do. Okay. We had that number is 3611500. 3,611,500. Thank you for your patience.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2015-92?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2016 levy.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson, second by Councilman Gushik for resolution 2015-92. Discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call a roll.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes.
Cantor,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gushik,
Yes.
Knappala,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Turcott,
Yes.
Resolution 2015-93, Housing Redevelopment Authority levy. Lori?
The HRA levy is a percentage of the taxable market value, and I believe the original levy was set at $80,000. When we received the numbers from the county as far as taxable market value times the percentage, the max levy is $72,000, which is what we are proposing in resolution 2015-93.
Wish of the council.
Motion to accept 2015-93.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hurkak, second by Councilman Hanson to approve resolution 2015-93. Discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call a roll.
Zilka,
Yes.
Cantor,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gushik,
Yes.
Knappala,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Turcott,
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2015-94, 2016 budget. John?
So these are the breakdowns of the revenues and expenses as presented. Since the levy was presented based on the staff's recommendation, none of these figures should be remaining the same. So this is for the general fund, and then the special revenue funds and the enterprise funds.
What's the wish of the council?
Move to accept.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Knopfler, second by Alderman Hercog, to approve Resolution 2015-94, the 2016 budget. Discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call a roll.
Antler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Bushick,
Yes.
Knopfler,
Yes.
Boyum,
Yes.
Turcott,
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Zilka.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2015-95, establish water, sewer, garbage, and recycling rates, 2016. John?
So this is the presentation following up with our recommendations about increases to rate structure for water. And then in sewer, we do plan on moving that. However, sewer has ordinances tied to it in terms of how those are budgeted. So we'd be coming back with a further change to the ordinances regarding this, specifically the sewer rates. So as they were presented and discussed, the sewer rates will come with an ordinance change later on. So the usage rate does have a slight increase, and we added another category for the scalable rate for how much is being used to try to help encourage people to conserve water, use less water. But as people use less water, it's in the end less revenue that we're ultimately collecting. So either that has to be made up in some other charge, but it does help in the operating costs and lowering those moving forward too. So we're looking at changing those rates to $2.14 for the first 1,000, $2.45 to the next 4,000 gallons, $2.60 to 5,000, $2.70 to 15,000, $2.75 to 25,000, and then everything above 50,000 gallons per month is charged at $2.80. Scaling up the rate charges for the meter size, 5/8 inch meters, 3/4 inch meters, or something that's listed as standard, and then individual apartment units will receive a base charge of $13.25 per month. 1 inch meter will receive a base charge of $19.88 per month, 1.5 inch, $39.75, 2 inch, $66.25, 3 inch, $132.50, 4 inch, $198.75. 5 inch meter, if there were to be added, would have a $265 per month charge. 6 inch meter, if it was added, would be $331.25 per month, and an 8 inch meter will have a $397.50 per month. As always, we will charge 53 cents per month to pay for the state's Safe Water Drinking Act fee. The base charge for water that we're recommending in this resolution is $7.50 per month. As shown, that would pay for all the debt service relative to the wastewater non-operating expenses, the remainder of the capital, and the transfer of the $88,000 to the general fund would come out of its existing improvement balance. And then moving the sewer usage rate to $5.83 per 1,000 gallons of water used. If you were to change something, it would have an impact on the total revenues that we receive in wastewater. However, the balance impact to that $15 per month at the end is it just saves the improvement transfer subsidizing the amount. So it really doesn't change overall what the fund is going to produce. It would just help sustain that improvement balance at 1.1. Furthermore, I don't believe there's any other changes that we're presenting other than the garbage and recycling, which we did discuss in the work session, would decrease, and this is based on the CPI going down, which was a negotiated part of the hauler's contract. And the garbage bag fee is going to go up, or is presented to go up 4 cents to $1.42 per bag, or $14.20 per pack of 10.
So John, would there be an advantage for that wastewater, that flat fee to go for more than the 750? I know that, what, the 15 or whatever?
I mean, the advantage is that you don't play the game of lowering subsidizing down that improvement fund in those early years. It would just be sustained. Unlikely, you then not have to raise it as much in later years too. So I mean, it would just get you to where it would need to be. But that said, we're taking apartments that don't have any charge right now to $750, or it would be up to $15 per apartment. And there's over 1,000 apartments in town that aren't getting an additional monthly charge.
I just know we never in the past have wanted to do much with any of the flat rates or whatever. That's why I don't know if even like $10 charge, if that would help out to get that wastewater.
Yeah,
We got a big expense that's coming there, and
yeah. In my previous community, they did a lot of improvements in infrastructure, and they're at $17 a month water and sewer, looking to go to $18.25 in water and sewer. So I mean, in my mind, that's a town of 1,500 people. Your capacity, incomes that aren't any higher than they are here. Capacity for growth in that rate is probably there. If your residents could handle it.
well, it's either we get it here, we get it on the levy. raise the
Yeah,
tax.
so if you
You
don't,
know, so it's-
if the improvement fund went away and you couldn't pay the debt service out of the fund, it's gonna have to come from the levy. It's an obligation to the general fund, so it's gonna have to come from somewhere. And I'm a proponent that enterprise funds pay for enterprise expenses, so if it's a sewer cost, it should be paid out of sewer rates or sewer usage, so.
I like the idea of paying more now and not getting hit as hard later. That's a big shock when that happens, so.
I think if you even go to 10 or 12 instead of going 5% every year, you could scale it back if you wanted to, or I don't know, it's just, we're gonna get those two plants up and running and maintained and into code, and what's the EPA gonna do with regulations by the time we wanna replace that plant when we dump in the river? I have a feeling our $11 million is gonna be pretty short by the time what we're projecting to when we decide to replace it 5 years down the road on the way stuff's been going in
If they get their
recent
way,
history.
I mean, the limits that they're gonna set are gonna be so extremely stringent upon municipalities. Those costs are gonna go a long ways, and, it's unfortunate because we're subject to the burden of getting things so clean that we, because we can measure it so much better than we used to. I mean, we can go measure parts per trillion, or before we didn't even know those things existed in our water. Now we gotta treat for it. And, I'm all for clean water. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. Don't want to say that I'm not. But there's a balance. And these are a lot of these things are existing in the water on their own, or they're coming in from other sources. And municipalities just happen to be the ones that get these permit limits on. Have to pay the price to get them. So.
And the coalition is fighting that.
And the coalition is supporting this as well. And their arguments are use science and use the best practices that are out there. And a lot of what's being presented at the regulatory agencies are things that aren't backed by the leading industry science either. So they're just they think they know what it is, or we're trying to compensate by getting our limits so much lower to make up for all the people that they aren't regulating that are contributors to the rivers and the lakes, things that they can measure for. So.
Well, and if something drastic would happen, it's not that we can't adjust.
Correct.
Just because we have a 5-7-year plan doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. Things are always gonna change. That's the one constant, is that it's never gonna come into exactly as you planned. It's gonna change.
Personally, I like the gradual, just so it's not so much of an impact right away. I think residents feel that a little more if it's all at once, but.
Phasing a little bit is easier to take.
It is within 5 years, then it's not a little bit more. Now it's a huge jump again when you got your shortfall, so.
question. How far off into the future do you foresee having the discussion if we switch to a lagoon-type plant?
That'll probably next summer sometime, because the facility plan should be completed early next year. And that'll kind of lay out different options for treating our sanitary sewer. So that would come up probably the middle of next year. We look at all those options.
So, it might not be advisable to stick 11 million into a plant that we might be switching out of.
Well, we're not sticking 11 million into a plant. The facility plan would be looking at what option we'll implement in 2022.
Yeah,
So-
the 11 million plan for wastewater is actually the 2022
Yes.
timer. It's not like with water where we have $1 and $2 million incremental expenses each year for the next 5 to 6 years. This one it's
We're
same.
planning 5 years
Yeah,
out.
we're paying off the existing debt service as it stands, and we still need the rate increases to do that. But we need to maintain that improvement fund reserve so that we have it available when the new debt service and the major expenses take place in 2022.
Any questions for John before we go for a motion? We're gonna keep our rates or change or?
I'd like to see it increased a bit more than 5%, but either way, it has to be done. Gradually or a little harder now and not as hard later.
Oh, somebody wanna make a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2015-95 with a change to item number 1 under wastewater, a basic charge $15.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson and a second by Councilman Bishop to approve Resolution 2015-95 with the said change. Wastewater, number 1, basic charge of $15 a month. Discussion? Hearing none. Resolution, call a roll.
Hanson,
Yes.
Bushit,
Yes.
Knappala,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
No.
Hansler,
Yes.
carries.
Resolution 2015-96, prosecution agreement, Morrison County Attorney. John?
Our prosecution agreement with the Morrison County Attorney expires next year, or at the end of this year, so we're looking to continue that renewed. I think we made didn't hardly made any adjustments to it, just to clarify some things that he's actually prosecuting. And then there's times where our city attorney will be named as a special prosecutor for certain city ordinance violations or offenses.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2015-96? I have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Liljegren, second by Councilman Hanson, for approval of resolution 2015-96, prosecution agreement. Discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call the roll.
Bushit,
Yes.
Knappala,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes.
Hansler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
carries.
Resolution 2015-98, support local government aid. John?
Yep, this is this is a resolution I alluded to in the budget presentation, but the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities is asking communities to pass this resolution in support of local government aid for the upcoming session. Currently there is no omnibus tax bill, which the local government aid allocation resides. However, there was a Senate bill that was passed that had an increase of $45 million to it. The House bill, there was two that were on the floor in discussion, and the one that came forward was actually a decrease to local government aid. So there's this risk out there that local government aid might be diminished, I guess, in a time when there's a surplus, and it's kind of unfortunate that could even be discussed at the state. So what they're asking is that communities pass these resolutions and share that resolution with their elected representatives and the governor and other people in important decision makers on this matter. And as I've shown, it's 50% of our general fund revenue, vastly important to the operation of the city of Little Falls, vastly important to the operation of water, greater Minnesota City. So I think it's very important that this resolution be passed and shared.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2015-98?
I'll make a motion to approve it and support the local government aid.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Bushwick, second by Alderman Hurkog, for approval of resolution 2015-98. Discussion?
Well, I was around here when it was cut way back, and especially budget time, it got pretty rough. We really have to support this because we need it, keep the city functioning the way we want it to be, so I think we should support it.
We would either have to make the cuts or raise taxes. That's the only two. And all the studies we've seen show that as LGA goes down, taxes go up. And so I highly support it. Once again, am on the committee of the coalition, board of directors, coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, and I'm co-chair of the LGA property tax committee. And so I highly recommend this, and I will take it to the county mayor's meeting and ask that all those communities also support this.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call a roll.
Knopfler.
Yes.
William.
Yes.
Hurkog.
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Zilka.
Yes.
Hensler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Bushwick.
Yes.
Carries.
Loud displays, city parks. Want to take that one? John?
I guess as we brought up in the work session, there was a request from a resident to put a display up in a city park. Currently, there is a display in Labor's Day Park by the Lindbergh Lions in March of 2015. They requested to the city council to put up that display. They were given the time frame of November 15th to February 1st to put up that display. And they were the only demands that were placed on them were they were going to do everything at their time and their expense to put it up. And they connected to city electricity to do so, or the city's meter, so they're paying the cost for the electricity to run the lights on that display. So in fairness to the resident, one of the options that we were talking about was to allow them to work with staff to find a place of similar size and location in a city park to put up that display. There's been no specifics as to what is the design is that is going on with the size requirements, but as staff, we will fulfill the wish of the council to do so. The other options being, if we don't want to erect the city display, that we should probably consider asking the Lindbergh Lions to remove their display probably earlier than the time frame that they were given, and then continue moving forward that no city properties would not be able to be putting up displays from other individuals or groups. This is kind of in line along with our sign ordinance. The Supreme Court has spoken things that the city can regulate shall not be regulating the speech of anyone. So if we're going to allow it for one group, not set any sort of criteria upon what they're doing, we do it for others. So
Well, we can't set the criteria for what they
No.
do. So,
other than location, time, and size, nothing in terms of that.
what's the wish of the council?
It was stated that it's kind of late to put it up this year already, and it seems kind of a late, I want it to be a knee-jerk reaction. I guess I'd like us to wait a while to really think what we want to do and decide before next year when it's possible to put something up. Or decide if we want anything up. I don't like threats of intimidation to try and get your way.
We also have a situation where we've heard our attorney say that it would be nearly impossible to maintain a fair system if we were to go into something like this. And so it may be wiser just to leave it alone, just don't get into that area at all. And our February 1st idea of just cutting it off is not a bad one.
Mr. President, I would
Yeah.
say we need to address the residents' request. I see it as a twofold. Address the residents' request and then decide what we're going to do about it for the future. And I don't know if that's the part of the direction Mr. Hercock was going, but I'm good either way with what the decision is for what we're going to do from here on in. So if we need to have two of them, both of those issues addressed in one motion, I'm fine with that. If we want to put them in two motions, I'm fine with that. If we want to wait with the second one on whether we're going to make this, say this is it. I know that's not extremely helpful.
Well, I think we need to address the residents' concern, since we did already authorize or give permission for the lines to sit there. So, and I think the other thing we need to talk about is the time, when we want them to take it down. And I think if we can settle that tonight, and then put off until the next meeting, whatever, what we want to do in the future, that would give us some time to think about that. Brad, what you're thinking about there. But I think the important thing that we need to do is to decide whether or not we're going to let, somebody else put a sign up from now until February 10th or whatever it is that we want to set.
So does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll take a shot at it. Because nobody seems to be pushing me out of the way to get at my microphone. I would make a motion that we work with the resident that has requested and any other residents that request for a display. And I would ask that staff work with any resident that asks for this and promptly and to address this and to come up with, like John said, the similar location, similar amount of property, and that we have the date as February 1st, the same that we had agreed with the Lions.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion by Mayor Zolka and a second by Councilman Gushik to direct staff to work with residents on displays in city parks.
Is there a limit on the number of them, or could there be 100?
We've got 100 people come in, we'll have to find 100 parks.
Till we run out of room.
Yeah, the degree or the potential of problems with this sort of thing is pretty great. And I guess my opinion is that we should just leave it.
Unfortunately, I don't think we can that's the problem.
I agree. I believe recommendation from our city attorney is that we handle this. And I agree, it needs to be taken care of.
Seems to me options are grant this or tell the Lions to remove their stuff.
Correct.
I agree. Any other discussion? Tony, you see any issues with that one?
No, I don't.
Tony, just to run this by you, and I don't want to contradict my motion, but could we have possibly said that after we handle this resident, that we can pass something that as of after tonight, we would not grant any? Or is that, should we just leave
No,
well enough alone?
You can do it either way. You can say, we're gonna grant this one, and that's, we're stopping after this, we're not gonna grant any more. And now we're just gonna deal with the pending requests and set deadlines for that. You can certainly do that.
But then we might get some residents who,
Have no notice of it. And you could set it, any displays, pending requests for displays have to be out by the February 1st deadline, because that's consistent with the Lions. But you won't take any more applications, starting the new year. At least then, people have a little bit of notice to determine, do they want to make a quick request, don't they? The start of the year is always kind of a natural cutoff point that still allows at least a little bit of notice that this is being phased out. So that's another, you can modify the motion and say, we're not going to grant any more requests for these displays after January 1.
Moving forward.
Or after, I guess, December 31st, midnight December 31st, moving forward, right?
I would recommend closing business day December 1st.
Okay.
So,
Right.
because with the holiday, we're closed on the 1st. When somebody, there's an expectation that if a request came in after 5 p.m. on Thursday, that.
You're closed on New Year's Eve, so actually it should be January.
Yeah, that's why I said
30th,
close the business day.
Or whatever it is, okay.
With that amendment, that would mean, as of that time, there would be no further displays on city property.
It would be, you couldn't come in and make a request
Okay.
to put a display on. And then the existing display, as you've indicated, would need to be off by February 1st.
Recommend that to December 31st too, or January 10th?
I think we have the agreement with the Lions that it's till February 1st, and I think in fairness, we stay consistent, that's just my opinion. But I would be willing, if my second would be willing, I would be willing to amend that to take no further applications after the timeline you guys discussed. Was that end of day,
December 31st at noon,
End of business, December 30th.
December 30th?
December 30th, okay.
I'm willing to December would change.
So December 31st at,
Noon.
okay.
That's what I said.
That's what I thought I heard.
That's what I thought I was seconding.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, what is the question?
Question is to allow staff to work with resident to put the display in City Park and to take no further applications or any other request as of December 31st at noon, and all displays be removed by February 1st of 2016. Questions? All in favor? Say aye. Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Aye.
Hurkop, no.
And Vildren, no.
Vildren?
Or no, Vildren, boy, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Announcements or city council reports on authorities, boards, bureaus, or do we Want further action on the displays, or we're good there? Good. City council reports? Anyone? Announcements, planning commission public hearing, December 14th, 2015, here at City Hall. Variance addition to building Assembly of God on Haven Road. Anything from staff? Hearing none, 9:37 will be adjourned.
Well, I'm not gonna have my article up on my highway.
So do you want to come in?
I was just gonna ask which staff I talked to. You the lucky one?
And I'll get the research about where in city parks are equivalent in size to what Le Bourget is for the square footage. Provide you maps and aerials of what those sizes are.
Your eyes terrible.
Do you want that much area, or do you need a smaller area?